Something I guess that should probably never be talked about. I'm going to talk a little bit about here this morning is Coventry. At least day one, I've went back through, and maybe for the first time in nearly 20 years. We're approaching. This summer will be the 20th year anniversary. So let's hope this summer's festival goes much, much smoother. I'm sure it will. Of course it will. But, Curveball might have been better than Coventry. I would state if I had to rank them in order, I think I would put Curveball above Coventry somehow. So, if you were there and you lived through it, and if you were actually attended or attempted to attend, I'm sure you probably don't want to hear much about it. You certainly don't want to hear that there were some good things going on those 2 days. Very little, but there was some in there. Like, for example, very early on day one, the YEM, well, like everything basically in '04, the composed parts of the songs were a mess, but once they started to improvise and jam, I mean, it was just at that point. That was about, luckily, that's what Trey was still one of his strong suits. He's like a kind of like a heavyweight boxer. They say that your power's the last thing to go. Well, luckily for Trey, he pretty much lost his ability to play Phish songs correctly, but he could still jam. He could just improvise. It was like, let's just play. He could still do that. Still, just like riding a bike with those other three guys on stage. And then when it got to his part for the big moment in YEM, he delivered. The band even kind of like had a build up, like the music they were playing, like leading to it. And Trey's just kind of coming in slowly, a little note here, probably stepping on some pedals, trying to get the right tone. And for a lot of the YEM, he did have a nice tone there. So finally he comes in, and boy, when he got to soloing, he ripped it up. So that was good to see. The final YEM, while it was brief, for 19 minutes, brief. It was shorter than most YEMs. It was that was worthy of maybe, although the composed part, maybe not worthy of the final YEM. 46 days. Now, if you did not like the 46 days that went on forever and ever and like took up an entire day, this one under 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 55 seconds. There were several songs like that too throughout this couple of days here. They would they would play some song, they would jam it out, maybe back to back songs like that. And then I think there was like maybe Axilla, 46 Days, Sample in a Jar, Poor Heart, like all just barely got any time. Free was a bit of a mess. At one point, Trey just sort of drops out a little bit, and Mike's going off. It had become Mike's song at that point, and he's playing lead. And at one point, the other guys just drop out, and Fishman's getting a little antsy. Like he's like, "So is Mike just playing a bass solo here? What exactly is going on?" And then Trey comes back in, and Trey and Mike are playing along with each other. And it just was a bit of a mess there, not worthy of what could have been the final free. Gaiuti, another one, Glide was probably the cream of the crop when it came to just complete disaster. Songs that they attempted to play, and it was like, oh boy, Gaiuti wasn't much better. There was times where like, okay, they barreled through that well enough, but it wasn't great. And then they got to the Drowned jam. Page's vocals on Drowned. He seemed like he was having a rough weekend himself. It wasn't just Trey, but then there was this like holy shit moment in the Drowned jam. If Trey went off early in the YEM, he capped it off later in the show in this Drowned jam. Probably, maybe one of the highlights actually from the whole show. And then there were others, though, as well. Stash was a little weird. A lot of it was hit and miss. Stash was one, got a Jaboo. Could have been better. A lot of things they just wanted to race right to the jam, And then the Hood started out with some Trey banter. He just seemed like, boy, he was really on one. He was just trying, he was like, just even the way he was talking was kind of annoying, really. He just seemed like that annoying guy at the party. And so he's going on, and then the band's like, all right, this is going nowhere quickly. So they start to just, Page and Fishman just start to play the song, and Trey's like, no, simmer down, guys. So they're like, all right, this is go on. And then the Hood, it was okay. Went on and on and on there at the end, but they still had one day to go. It wasn't nice. I've been watching, there's not a ton of footage here on YouTube. There is the footage of that lady, and it's been on here ever since, man. I don't know. I have to let me look at that, actually. How long has that been on here? The lady that was screaming off the bridge at Phish. Oh, okay. So 14 years ago it was uploaded, and boy, it was great. It was highfalutin Phish fan stuff. Lady was on the bridge cussing Phish out. I don't know. She was like somewhere in Jersey or something, like yelling towards Vermont. And I think the situation was, I'll include a link down here. You guys can click on that and watch it in the description. But real quickly, if you don't know, Coventry was a complete disaster. At one point, like maybe in Camden or something, they were telling fans, like, hey, don't get here early. There's been lots of rain and flooding. Don't get here early. Arrive at this time. Well, some people ignored that and just went. Well, those people got in. And then other people who obeyed the rules, some of them got in, but others had much tougher time. Some of them did not get in at all. And then at some point they started telling people to turn around and go home. They didn't do that. They just parked right where they were on the highway and walked in. Nobody said we couldn't walk in. So they walked in like a bunch of, I don't know, props to them, but really it was not good. It's not a good scene. I wasn't there. In fact, night one, I was listening on XM. And then night two, I went to a theater. They were like simulcasting it in theaters across the nation. Boy, what a show that was. But, anyways, you could smell the fans that walked like 18 miles or whatever to get there. Uphill in the rain just to see a very subpar Phish show. Just to see Trey. I don't know. All right, I'm done. I've said enough. I haven't said anything these last 2.5 minutes. Hopefully, you clicked on that video and didn't even see any of this. Boom. Can't believe the cats let me do 6.5 minutes without bothering me. All right, I'm really done this time. That's how you know I'm done. You got an elbow boom. Love you guys.